Hi, I'm Charlie Mato-Toyela with Blue Bear Flutes. Of course, our website I'm sure you've been to is bluebearflutes.com. And if you haven't seen our other amazing amount of videos we have here on YouTube on Blue Bear Flutes YouTube channel, please check them out. If you're interested in Native American flutes, playing, making, just seeing what's going on or hearing somebody else play it, please check out our YouTube channel. And I don't mean just one or two videos. I mean, we have tons of videos for just about anybody that's interested in Native American flutes. Of course, too, if you would, please make sure you check out our Instagram page, which is, of course, under Blue Bear Flutes as well. We do have Twitter and Facebook, but the YouTube and the Instagram is really my favorite to look at. So today, what we're talking about is something that I've had actually a previous video for how to make this thing from scratch yourself, but I've had countless people ask me for a kit on putting together this contrabass low, about a key of F low contrabass PVC flute. So I have made a kit for it. You know, like I mentioned, there's another video out there that I've made on making a contrabass. Then I also have a video on making a low bass A, which is higher in tone than the low F that this guy here is. And like I said, I've had a lot of people ask me for a kit. So I've put together a kit. I'm going to show you a little bit of the ins and outs and how to get it together and how to make it work. I think that this is probably one of the easiest ways, in my opinion, for someone to get their hands on a contrabass Native American flute, which honestly, historically, those didn't exist. Please forgive me. Historically, Native Americans didn't make low bass or even medium low tone flutes. They stopped somewhere around a G to F sharp range, and then lower than that didn't happen. Now, I'm not talking about this G. That's an octave above this low tone bad boy here. So, or bad girl, I guess it could be a bad girl. So, but anyway, this flute comes with the track already made in here. It also comes with the holes pre-drilled, and I'm going to show you how to play it. You'll notice there's 2 holes in the back and 3 holes in the front. It's a 5-hole flute. This doesn't mean that you can't play that crazy off-key note that is on all of your modern 6-hole flutes. If you buy a 6-hole flute from us, you'll notice that it plays differently than the modern ones because each one of the holes represent an actual note in the minor pentatonic scale, not some kind of crazy off-putting note that you have to learn how to play. You're not going to have that deal here. But if you want to play that note that you've already learned how to play, then you can make that happen here. This flute can play chromatically just like any other 5-hole Native American flute, and it can play all the notes of Jim Bob McQueen's 6-hole flute that has a hole that you keep covered up with leather all the time for some insane reason, and it can play more than that. So keep that in mind. Anyway, so I'm going to show you what you got. Basically, you have a 2-inch diameter piece of PVC that's about 34 inches long. Now I know somebody's going to get theirs and say it's 33 3/4, which is how long mine is, but yours is going to be about 33 3/4 or 34 inches long. 2-inch in diameter. This is some Schedule 80 PVC. Don't use it for a baseball bat. You probably could, but it probably wear your arm muscles out after a while. It's heavier. So you've got that. You've got a coupling. I'll show you what to do with this in a second. A reducer. If I can make it happen, you'll only have 1 reducer, but for the time, at least I can make it 2 reducers. And on my previous video, you'll notice I actually had a stack of reducers there. Whatever it takes to basically take it from 2 inches down to this little tiny 1/2-inch deal here is what we're going to do. So I'll show you once again what all these do in just a moment. You have a cap. Now this cap is a really important part of the deal. With Native American flutes, the track area is probably the hardest thing for most everybody to get. This track area and this one is done with a machine that is just spot on. It's still hand controlled, but it's very much better than my first build that I did on the video I did on making the first contrabass low F. It comes with a couple of pieces of little 1/2-inch PVC here, and I say it's 1/2-inch. I think that's what size this is. Let's see. Yep, 1/2-inch. How about that? Anyway, so it comes with a couple of pieces of this. I'll show you what I do with it in a moment. We'll build the flute first, and then we'll get into what these pieces here do. But basically, to make the flute play, and honestly, you could probably leave this one out too, but you know, like I said, we'll get to that. The first thing that you need to think about is the partition or the sound chamber versus the air supply chamber of the flute. So this is a hollow piece of PVC. As you can see, it's nothing inside, nothing up my sleeves. But we need to stop that. We have to kind of block it off right here, and that's what this cap does. Now, the first question most people are going to think is, should I glue that in place? Well, I would suggest doing it without gluing it in place first, and then if you want to decide to glue it in place, you can. And another question I know I'm going to get is PVC safe. Well, like somewhere around 80 to 90% of most homes built today use PVC for their water. That doesn't necessarily mean it's safe. You know, I'm sure that some organization has deemed PVC safe, but it doesn't make it not safe either. You know, I mean, a lot of us drink out of plastics. If you don't drink out of plastics now, think back to when you were a baby. You probably drank out of plastics then, and all through your life for a long time. So PVC is considered to be safe by most. I guess that's probably the best way to say it. So we put this little plug in here. Once again, I'm not going to glue this together, and you're going to hear it play. It plays really well. In my other video, like I said, I know I glued it, but I've decided for myself I'm not going to glue it. When you put this cap on it, you want to double check and make sure that it doesn't go past the back edge of the sound hole there. I'm actually riding that edge just a little bit, and I'm going to take this other piece and kind of bump it just a little bit so I can slide it off. We're talking about like millimeters here. Those millimeters really matter, believe it or not. So if you wind up pushing on too far, you can bump it back just a little bit. That way you're not going and you pop it off and then and you pop it back on, and you know, just a little bump is all it takes to get it lined up so that it's right with the back edge. You'll notice that your little plug still kind of wobbles around in there a little bit. That'll be okay. So far I've had pretty good success with this one. This is actually one of my favorite ones I've made yet. And then we take the coupling and the reducer and put them together. So now we have basically a smaller mouthpiece, which actually makes a noise. That's pretty good. So you can do that. If you want to make it even easier, hey, you can put this smaller coupling. Now you have a smaller mouthpiece. And you can actually play the flute at this point. So you can do that, but I find it to be a lot easier if you make the mouthpiece a little more comfortable. Now, once again, your flute kit's going to have enough pieces to basically represent everything that's here. But I may, and I haven't decided yet, I may decide to use this male and female elbow, which I found a lot of use in that, with a double female elbow so that I can put them together like that. That means there's one less piece than if we do it this way. And sometimes, I'm going to tell you right up front, sometimes they don't have these. And I can look forever and a day and I just can't find them. But male and female elbows, I'll make sure I have a lot of them on hand. But if I run out, so sorry if I wind up making your mouthpiece area like this or what have you. Anyway, all you need is a PVC elbow, this little 1/2 inch here, with this little tiny piece of extra PVC coming out of it. It represents basically the same thing. You know, we've basically made a male and female elbow out of it is what we've done. And I'm sure somebody is going to comment and tell me exactly what the name of this little thing is, but to me, someone who has worked in irrigation a lot of his life, both in homes and in garden especially, I call this a male and female elbow. It's just what it is. Anyway, so getting back to the point, if your kit looks exactly like the one I've got here, and this is a convenience of this, your elbows, oh, and please don't request one over the other. It's going to come how it comes, and you'll love it. I promise you. You'll get over the notion of whether you should have a male and female elbow or that little extra piece. It'll be the first time you play, and you'll think, you know, I don't really care anymore. It'll be okay. But there is a convenience of having that, as it kind of makes a nice little perfect union there, and they kind of butt together. I guess these terms are okay on YouTube still today. Of course, that kind of stuff I don't think they ding you for. Not highlighting or alluding to anything else. Anyway, so I find that this male and female elbow actually does a really good job in here. Kind of makes it uniform in one piece, and since we don't want this sitting down on that structure really flush, it gives you the option, because this is kind of mildly or remotely tapered, I guess it seems like it is anyway. You can put that together, and even like that right there, it gives you a nice mouthpiece. Or you can take it the next step and put this piece in there, and then you've got another nice mouthpiece which you can actually shove right to your face like that. Or if you want to take it, once again, one more step, you can do this number right here and put this dude together. Uh-oh, we're getting fancy now. And we're getting really fancy. Whoops. And we're going to put this dude right up in there. Now we have kind of like, and if you want to see what this piece looks like by itself, it's basically a J, you know, or an L. Maybe it was J to U in the first place and now it's an L to U. Or maybe it was an L to U before, I don't know. Anyway, so you've got this guy right here, and he kind of fits, or she, you know, I mean, hey, kind of fits right in there like that. And then we have this extra elbow, which we push under here. And then we've got this piece back here. And now we have the convenience of this. And of course, you can shorten this dude if you want to. This thing's completely customizable. I sound like a car salesman from the 1970s. Anyway, the thing about this that's convenient is you can bend the mouthpiece in a number of fashions. Whatever it is, it really seems to float your boat the best. It's not politically correct. I should be saying whatever works best for you. But anyway, sometimes we say float your boat in the shop. You can turn it this way and that, and whatever seems to fit your hand posture the best. It gives you a lot of options. And like I said, you can cut any of these pieces down that you need. I wouldn't suggest cutting this guy down unless you wanted to turn it into a G or an F sharp or something else like that. And even at that rate, the fingerings might be off about this much. And then from here, the most important thing though is how do you put your fingerings on this big honkin' flute? I know it's supposed to be big hawking flute. I was, you know, a kid back in the 90s, so we're the ones that invented big hawking, I think. But big honking is what a low-tone flute does. So you've got a thumb hole back here. That's convenient because it doesn't make you stretch your fingers way up there like that. You have a thumb hole, and then you can put your index finger. Once again, I'm playing it with my left hand on the top. If you feel the need to play it on your right hand on the top, go for it. But that gives you a thumb and an index finger to play these two top holes, which would normally be the two top holes of a 5-hole flute. And then you've got two down here and one in the back up here. This is the other one that I put my thumb on. So we've got a thumb and a thumb in the back, and we've got an index finger on the top up here. And then we, down here, the way that I like to do it is I like to play, once again, thumb right here. Gives me a little bit of a stretch. I could put my other finger down there, but I really like to play that with my ring finger and my index finger, and leave that middle finger there floating around however he likes. There again, you know, there's still room for improvement. You may decide that you want to bump it out that way just a little bit, or bump it in this way a little bit, and figure out exactly where this quote-unquote sweet spot is. One little thing that I can tell you that'll make it sound a little clearer for a PVC flute, and this isn't something you have to do by any means, but let's see if I can, I did it. One thing that might help you out just a little bit is some, I'm talking microfine, like 220, 400, something like that, sandpaper in this track area will really clear that up a little bit. And something else that you can do if you want to take it one more step is anything that you can use to seal those pores. Now, PVC isn't incredibly porous, as you can imagine. The outside is shiny. The reason it's shiny is because during the extruding process, the heating process, the outside actually seals off quite a bit. The inside is about the same. I mean, it's a little less shiny, which means it's a little more porous, but they do something to it. I think it's got a hot rod inside of the PVC that heats it up as it's extruding. When we bust into the pores on this guy, it opens the pores up just a tiny bit, and open pores means more surface and more frictional area. I've actually got some upcoming videos of things that I have done, not that you should necessarily do to a flute to cut back on that surface area and frictional area there. But I'll tell you that just a drop of like mineral oil, baby oil, olive oil, anything, just a drop of that, and kind of smear it here and then wipe it off, and it changes that night and day. This is also a good technique on just about any other flute, except for flutes that are highly lacquered and then have a brass piece on top of that lacquer. They're pretty well as glossy as you're going to get them, although lacquer is porous. Most people don't know that, but anyway, so that's basically it. There's a little experimentation here, and then from there, the sky's pretty much the limit. If you want to, oops, it won't play like that. You got to put this plug in there. Anyway, the sky's pretty much the limit. If you want to paint it, if you want to stain it, there are people with all kinds of crazy ideas and techniques for coloring PVC. If you want to do that kind of thing, you can go there. You can also sand it, and I have successfully sanded PVC and used everything from markers, and I don't mean permanent markers, I mean just like a standard kind of a run-of-the-mill any color marker that you want to. Anything that you can do to get some pigment into the open pores. Now, if you sand this and take the shine off of it, it's not going to be easy to get the shine back on it. That's actually kind of a trick. But if you want to do anything, they do sell a solvent that cleans PVC that'll take that off. I've had fair luck with acetone taking it off, like nail polish remover. But there again, anything that you do to the outside of it's going to damage the shine just a little bit. Myself, I personally don't like the shine. I'll probably sand this guy off and stain it or something and make it look really cool. But it's all kinds of things you can do today. Even duct tape I've seen people use on their flutes, and they turn out pretty cool. They have camouflage and pink duct tape and some of everything, some shiny metal duct tape if you want to turn this into a big silver flute. So once again, like I say, lots of room for modification. It pretty well builds itself. It is designed with the track in it already. All you have to do is put it together and play an easy contrabass, virtually a low F Native American flute, something that I've kind of enjoyed playing around with. It's something fun to do. I'm not really, PVC isn't really my thing, but don't knock it until you try it, I guess is what they say. So once again, Charlie Mato-Toyela signing out for Blue Bear Flutes and bluebearflutes.com. If you want to learn more about making or playing the Native American flute, make sure that you check out our Blue Bear Flutes Native American Flute channel, because we make Native American flutes day in and day out. Also, we've got these wonderful shirts. If you're interested in some cool flute wear, we've got that out there, and lots of Native American flute accessories as well, and care information and products and some of everything. I mean, we've been doing this for a while. I've been making flutes for some time. So you guys take care. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Happy flute making, happy flute playing, and enjoy those Native American flutes. Charlie Mato-Toyela signing out.